If you would have told me before the season began that the game would determine who wins the East, I would have called you insane, and maybe I would have jumped up and down for joy, but I don't know. This is incredible. Amazing, fascinating, whatever you want to call it. 10-1 Michigan, ranked 5th in the college football playoff, is hosting 10-1, number 2 in the playoff rankings, Ohio State. I'm exuberant, happy, excited, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually smiling recording this. It's unbelievable. And today I'm going to preview this game. A game that, despite its recent lopsidedness, is still the greatest rivalry in college sports. A rivalry so intense, Ryan Day can't say anything nice about Michigan, and Aidan Hutchinson and Jim Harbaugh struggled to find nice things to say about Ohio State. A rivalry with so much intensity, hatred, talent, whether it be NFL or star talent, and championships between them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game. First and foremost, we are going to preview Ohio State's offense versus the Wolverine defense. And if you are new to this channel, consider giving a like, hitting that subscribe button, clicking that notification bell, and commenting your thoughts down below. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the number 1 offense in the nation, facing off against a defense who is 7th in scoring defense. Ohio State's offense is insane. 47.2 points per game. You round that up, that's basically 7 touchdowns a game. They, on average, have 559.5 yards per game. 362.3 of those are passing. Almost 200 are rushing. The Wolverines' defense only allowing 16.3 points per game, 306.8 total yards, 178 of them are passing, 128.5 are rushing. It's unbelievable. Michigan's defense has come very far. Ohio State's offense has, I would say, cemented itself as number 1 overall. Ohio State is 3rd in passer rating. On average, their quarterback has a 181.9 passer rating. And with Michigan, they're 9th in average passer rating allowed, only allowing a 110.1 passer rating. Ohio State's 3rd nationally in offensive passer rating. It's crazy. I mean, this is the main part of the game. Now, Michigan's offense against Ohio State's defense also determines a lot. But this right here is really, I think, what determines it. I mean, you got guys like C.J. Stroud, Trevion Henderson, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jaxon Smith Njigba. And then on the other side, you have Aidan Hutchinson, David Ojabo, Daxton Hill, DJ Turner. Just, you have all these guys, Gemon Green. It's insanity. You have so much talent on both sides of the ball. And today, we are going to preview all of that. So, let's name some leaders on that Ohio State offense. Ohio State is led in passing by C.J. Stroud, who is the front runner to win the Heisman. He has 3,468 passing yards, completes 71% of his passes, averages a first down per pass, 10 yards exactly, 36 touchdowns, 5 picks. It's crazy. This guy right here is the Heisman frontrunner after a beatdown against Michigan State. And with him in that passing game is Jaxon Smith Njigba with 1,132 receiving yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. Garrett Wilson with 939 receiving yards, 11 receiving touchdowns. And Chris Olave with 848 receiving yards and 13 receiving touchdowns. Jeremy Ruckert and Trevion Henderson also have 3 touchdowns each receiving. And listen, even if Michigan wins this game, Garrett Wilson will likely pass the 1,000-yard mark, maybe even Chris Olave if a shootout somehow happens. Ohio State regardless of this outcome, will probably finish the season with 3 1,000-yard receivers. This passing game is unmatched. The closest team to it would be Alabama. And Ohio State has better wide receiver talent. They have the best wide receivers in the nation. Their passing game is lethal. But we can't forget about their run game, led by Trevion Henderson, with 1,098 rushing yards, 7.3 yards per carry, and 14 rushing touchdowns. You also have Mayan Williams and Master Teague, who back him up. They have a combined 7 touchdowns and over 800 rushing yards. It's insanity. Again, Ohio State is littered with talent everywhere. Their offensive line, along with Michigan's, who we'll get to as well, Michigan's offense, both offensive lines on these teams are some of the best in the nation. I mean, you have just so much talent everywhere. In Ohio State, they have explosiveness. They're disciplined. I mean, Ryan Day, as Mike Valenti says, is Satan calling plays. He's an elite play caller. They plan for everyone. They don't overlook anyone. And like always, they've been prepping hard for the Michigan Wolverines. This offense is going to come to play, Ohio State's is. Michigan's will as well, though, especially their edge duo of David Ojabo and Aidan Hutchinson. Ojabo with 10 sacks. This is all according to ESPN, by the way. And Aidan Hutchinson with 9. Each have 3 passes defended. Ojabo has 5 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. Hutchinson has 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. Michigan's pass rush pitted against Ohio State's O-line is going to be entertaining. These two this is the best pair of edge rushers in the country, pitted against an offensive line that could also be in contention, along with Michigan's, to be the best O-line in the country, depending on the outcome and the stats. It's insanity. These two teams, again, so much talent between them. Ojabo has 30 total tackles, Hutchinson with 47. You also have Taylor Upshaw, who has 2.5 sacks. So Michigan's D-line, very good at getting to the quarterback and helping to defend the pass. Michigan's weakness, and you can kind of see this in a certain sense if you've watched Michigan play, is their run defense. 128.5 yards allowed per game on the ground. Ohio State's is barely over 100. I think it's 105 or around there. So Michigan's weakness has been defending the run, but getting to the quarterback and defending the pass, no problem. DJ Turner, who has 2 picks, 1 returned for 6, and Daxton Hill lead the team with 2 interceptions each. RJ Moten, Gemon Green, who is injured but looks to possibly be back, and Mike Morris all have 1 interception as well. Michigan is a total of 7 picks, 47 passes defended, 8 fumble recoveries, and 10 forced fumbles. It's crazy. And some other leaders, I would say, include Josh Ross, the linebacker, who's just everywhere, leads the team in total tackles. Junior Colson is a true freshman linebacker who's really stepped up. You also have Brad Hawkins, a defensive back, who's just steady. And how about Vincent Gray? Got burned everywhere he played last year. This year he has 5 passes defended, a forced fumble, a sack, and 30 total tackles. Him and the rest of this defense, because of Mike McDonald, have stepped up in a big way. So that's previewing the offense of Ohio State and the defense of Michigan. These are the best units of the respective teams, especially when it comes to Ohio State's pass offense and Michigan's pass defense. It's crazy. These might be the 2 best in their country in those respective categories. I mean, especially when it comes to Ohio State's passing offense here. Now we go into the Buckeye defense against the Wolverine offense. And these, stat-wise, are much closer. These are the weaker units of the teams. Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, always this defensively focused team. And under Ryan Day, Ohio State's been all about offense, especially that passing game, which is why they're so good at it. Ohio State's defense, on average, allows 19 points per game, 355 total yards, only 100 of them being rush yards, about, and 252 passing yards. Michigan's offense scores just over 5 touchdowns a game. They produce 447.9 total yards. 229 of them are passing, 218 are rushing. So Michigan, obviously, they have the more balanced attack. It is not as talented as Ohio State's total attack, though, but it's a pretty balanced offense, and the passing game especially has come into form. And they're led by Cade McNamara, Michigan is, when it comes to the passing game. He has 2,142 passing yards, completes 64.2% of his passes, averages 8 yards per pass, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks, a 148 passer rating. And you also have to watch out for J.J. McCarthy, and I fully anticipate McCarthy will be used here. And listen, it was bad against Michigan State. I mean, some could argue that his fumbles did cost us the game, but at the same time, I don't want to get into that. He's still a great player nonetheless. He has passed for 348 yards, completes 65.8% of his passes, averages 9.2 yards per pass. He has 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 172 passer rating. McCarthy has the higher upside. He can make plays on his own. He can also run. McNamara is the more steady guy, and I anticipate both of them will be used. And going along with that passing game, you have Cornelius Johnson, who has 539 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Eric All, the tight end, with 324 receiving yards and a touchdown. Mike Sanistril, Dalen Baldwin, Roman Wilson, and Andrell Anthony all have over 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns each. Michigan in total has 18 passing touchdowns, which is more than people probably think, and they only have 4 interceptions. And if you take out the one from Alan Bowman, the third stringer, they have 3. So Michigan's 2 guys that are going to be playing, barring some catastrophic event in which, the starting 2 get injured, Michigan is a 6-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. And that's the theme of this Michigan offense as well. They do take care of the ball. Very few fumbles. There's the 2 I can count are the one from McCarthy against MSU, one from A.J. Henning against Northwestern. I think there might have been another against Northwestern. And then you also have to account for the one against Penn State. Those are the only fumbles I can remember. That right there is 3 to 4. And speaking of fumbles, which mainly come from a rushing game, Hassan Haskins leads the team in rushing yards with 1,063. He has 4.9 yards per carry and 13 touchdowns. I expect Blake Corum to be healthy, possibly. He did not take the field last game against Maryland, and he is listed as questionable. He has 778 rushing yards, 6 yards per carry, and 10 touchdowns. And Donovan Edwards, while he has 150 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, listen, he, against Maryland, had a huge game. He looked very comfortable as a receiver. So he's also a true freshman, is a weapon in his own right. So watch out for him. I assume after that breakout game, him, Anthony, and McCarthy, all true freshmen, will probably have their moments, possibly, against Ohio State. So that's Michigan's offense, and now, of course, we got to check out the Buckeye defense, who I would like to add, along with Michigan's offense, these two are the weaknesses of their teams. They're underrated, nonetheless. Ohio State's defense, look, I don't think they're a team that is going to hold all offenses to 7 points a game, like they did against State. That's like their A+++ game that you might not see again. They're still underrated. I mean, that D-line might be the best in the nation once again. Excellent at stopping the rush, excellent at getting in the backfield. They're close to leading the nation in sacks, and Larry Johnson is the D-line coach. And since Matt Barnes took over for play calling, I mean, they went from under Kerry Combs allowing touchdown after touchdown to being this kind of, in a certain sense, bend but not break defense, or a defense that just breaks you if you don't have the talent to face it. Ohio State's defense, you got some leaders in that defense, Haskell Garrett being one of them. He was a starter last year. He returned, and he has 5.5 sacks, a pass defended, 2 fumble recoveries, and one of them for a touchdown. Dude can move. He's a big guy who can move, and he also has 21 total tackles. Tyleik Williams, another defensive tackle, has 5 total sacks, and then you also got Jack Sawyer, Tyreek Smith, Zach Harrison, defensive ends. Sawyer being a freshman, true freshman, they all have 3 sacks and at least 1 forced fumble. I mean, this D-line's crazy. They have 35 total sacks. Ohio State also has 11 interceptions and 7 fumble recoveries. And speaking of them defending the pass, Ronnie Hickman leads the team with 2 picks, one of them for 6. Ryan Watts also has 2 picks. He's a cornerback, while Hickman is a safety. And Denzel Burke, look, he only has 1 pick. One of them was for 6. He does have 10 passes defended, though. And I would argue is their best secondary player. Him and Hickman are the guys who I would say that Michigan needs to watch out for. You can't be lobbing balls up in the air against those guys, because Burke will just knock him down. Look, he's never mentioned. They never show him because he's never targeted. And I believe he is also a true freshman as well. So watch out for Denzel Burke. Ronnie Hickman also leads the team in total tackles. Other guys who are among leaders in total tackles are Cody Simon, the linebacker, with 47. Hickman is 83. Bryson Shaw, another safety, is 44. Those are just some names to look out for Ohio State. JT Tuimoloau, also, who I didn't mention, is another true freshman for Ohio State's feared defensive line. He has 2.5 sacks. So Ohio State has this defensive line rotation. It's very advanced, very elite. Shows the depth and talent they have at those positions. And they just, they get to you whether they send 4 guys or not. It's kind of crazy. And it showcased against Penn State and against Nebraska, where I would argue Ohio State's defense and not their offense won their team the game, just to be honest with you. So that right there is my preview of the Buckeye defense and the Wolverine offense. Both units who are good, underrated in fact, in their own right, but they don't get as much attention as the other units we discussed. Michigan's defense and Ohio State's offense is what's going to be the main showcase. But don't get yourself wrong. The Buckeye defense versus the Wolverine offense will be important as well. So that right there was kind of previewing, both of these teams in a different way. I got the idea from a viewer in the comments section who suggested this. I like this a lot, actually. It just feels more fun. You can kind of theorize pitting these guys against each other. I think that, Michigan will have a tough time running the ball against this Ohio State D-line, but Jim Harbaugh has shown a desire to go for it on 4th and short, and they've consistently been great at it. And, Ohio State's pass defense, while improving, is still not this elite spectacle, and Michigan's pass defense has gotten better too, along with Ohio State's pass defense. So Michigan should be able to pass somewhat. And then it's the same thing with Ohio State's offense against Michigan. Though I would say we'll probably be hearing more of Henderson's name than we might anticipate, because I do think that Michigan's going to defend the pass better than people think they will. The run, though, I don't hear people talking about how Michigan struggles to defend the run, and along with that, Trevion Henderson's explosiveness. So Ohio State, a little suggestion is, don't get stubborn with the pass. You want to beat us, test the run consistently as well. That's just previewing these two teams. Again, let me know who you think's going to win in the comments below. And now we are going to look at reasons why Ohio State can and possibly will win. Then we'll get to Michigan's reasons and then my prediction. Why Ohio State can win? Well, as we discussed, Ohio State has an elite offense, an offense that Michigan hasn't faced anything close to this offense. The closest team they faced with an explosive offense was Michigan State, whose offense has been proven to be, somewhat inconsistent. And they beat us by 4. So if Michigan State's offense can beat us by 4, Ohio State's should be able to beat us. And unlike our one loss, Ohio State does have a better defense. Ohio State's defense is good. It is not porous like it was against Oregon and Tulsa. It's not that defense anymore, at least from what I can see on paper and film, which is what matters a whole lot. Ryan Day, reason number 2, is the better head coach than Jim Harbaugh. Look, Ryan Day, he's in year 3. He inherited a good program. It doesn't mean he's not an elite head coach. Elite head coaches can succeed elite head coaches. It happens. Look at Jim Tressel, and then if you don't count the that weird Luke Fickell gap year, Fickell has improved so much from then, Tressel to Urban. Maybe Ryan Day isn't an elite head coach, but Jim Harbaugh I would argue, isn't even a great head coach. He's good. He's not great. He's certainly not elite. Ryan Day, I'd say at minimum, is a great head coach. And he's out-schemed Jim Harbaugh. Think of the 2019 game. We would have lost by massive margins in the 2020 game, more likely than not. And Ryan Day has out-schemed and out-coached good head coaches countless times, no matter the location, whether it be Mel Tucker, Paul Chryst, others as well. Reason number 3, Ohio State has more star talent than Michigan. Ohio State is like 3rd, according to 24/7 Sports, which is very reliable for recruiting rankings. They're 3rd in the nation in total talent. Michigan's 15th. Talent matters on the field. There are examples in history of teams with better talent and porous coaching beating teams with good coaching and poor talent. Think of Larry Coker's Miami. The guy who ran Miami into the ground. He inherited massive talent. He beat coaches who were better than him. Think of Rich Rod, who was in the Big East, who developed West Virginia into a great school. Think of Frank Beamer. Talent does so much for you. It's important to recruit. This is why Dan Mullen couldn't stay around at Florida, one of the reasons, because you just couldn't bring in star talent. It's the reason Kirby Smart and Nick Saban are so dominant, and it's the reason Ohio State is dominant. Reason number 4, I mentioned this earlier. Michigan's defense has struggled against the run. They just do. It's facts. They're not horrible at it. I'd say they're good at it. But good is not good enough, for lack of a better term, against a team like Ohio State, and vice versa. If Ohio State's pass defense or run defense was good, but faced, let's say, just an elite Michigan run game or elite Michigan passing game, if we're to fantasize here, it would be concerning. And Michigan's defense, when it comes to the run game, especially when I get PTSD from remembering the Michigan State game and what Walker did, Henderson can recreate that. I totally believe that. And finally, Ohio State has recently dominated the series. We haven't beat them in Columbus since 2000. We've only beat them twice at home since 2000. So they dominate us. And, they kind of have this, at least have had in the past, this mental lock over Michigan. And if you're thinking, why am I using the term us? It's because if you haven't figured out already, I am indeed a Michigan fan. I have a lot of respect for this game, for Ohio State, and I am excited nonetheless, and I try to, and think I am, unbiased. But besides the point, Ohio State dominates, and until Michigan proves otherwise, you're rightful to pick Ohio State. finally, before my prediction, why Michigan can win. Now, you may be thinking this is impossible for all the reasons you mentioned, but hear me out. Number one, Michigan is hosting Ohio State. Think about 2016. What would have the result been if that game was in Michigan Stadium? You know, Ohio State somehow trailed Michigan by 10 points at home. What if they were in the Big House? What if Ohio State had to travel to the Big House in 2016? Because I think those two teams were so close together that Michigan would have won. Home field advantage matters. And yes, last time we hosted them, a great portion of the stadium was red. People exaggerate and said, oh, half of it was red. No, it was because they stayed there until the end while all of our fans left. That's why it looked like half of it was red. Still a lot of red, though. This year, Michigan, if they win, is guaranteed to go to Indy, and vice versa with Ohio State. Michigan fans will probably bring a greater presence than they did in 2019. Reason number two, Michigan's passing defense is one of the best. And look, they have not faced the most explosive passing offense either. I understand. I, as a Michigan fan, know this. People have said, well, you can't say that Michigan's pass defense is great when they face nobody. It's like, well, seriously, there's like one great passing offense outside of maybe the SEC in every conference. I mean, listen, actually in the SEC there's a ton. There's Ole Miss, there's Mississippi State, there's Alabama. But even then there's talent mismatches and all this different stuff. And I believe that Georgia has an amazing passing defense, and they haven't faced a team besides maybe Tennessee, who has shown some inconsistencies as well in the passing game. They haven't faced anyone of good caliber in the passing game besides Tennessee. Michigan, I think they have one of the best. Not the best, though. I think that Georgia is better than us. There are definitely other teams as well. I mean, Iowa's probably an example when it comes to their secondary. Our secondary is great, though. And that could help us, especially because, think about this, and this is another reason Michigan can win, a side reason. Ohio State, look, you faced Nebraska, Rutgers on the road, Minnesota on the road. You hosted Michigan State. You hosted Penn State. You're going to face Michigan on the road as well. You faced Indiana on the road. You have only faced chumps. If you're an Ohio State fan, Ohio State has only faced bad teams on the road. Teams with talent limitations or limitations on one side of the ball, schematically or coaching-wise. Michigan's the most complete road team by far that they have faced. Reason number three. Michigan is a balanced and consistent offense. We already talked about this. Not going to spend too much time on it. But their passing game is developing well. Their run game is good enough to move good run defenses around and play for that fourth down game, which I don't know if Ohio State's going to be playing the fourth down game. I know Michigan will, and we'll get to another part of that in two more reasons. But reason number four, Michigan's red zone issues have dwindled. I went to the Penn State game. Every time we got close to the red zone and scored, it was a touchdown. Maryland, we had one field goal because of a chop block. Otherwise, it probably would have been a touchdown. We are fixing our red zone issues at the right time. In the same way that Ohio State is peaking on offense, because they are, Michigan is also, to a lesser degree, because of talent limitations and how Harbaugh wants to run his team, Michigan's also peaking on offense. The red zone issues are being resolved, and when Michigan doesn't have red zone issues, their offense can score and score and score. And reason number five, I think this reason is underrated. Some think that it actually plays against Michigan. Jim Harbaugh is coaching for his job and his future. That's what Jim Harbaugh is coaching for. His job and his future. It's I mean, it's just plain and simple. He loses this game, he's right back to being under pressure in 2022, where he has to travel to Ohio State. He wins this game, he can probably lose to Ohio State next year and get a free pass from most of the fan base and athletic administration. He's playing for his job, and that ties into what I said about the run game being just good enough. He'll be aggressive, and it's not saying he'll be good, because he could be aggressive in the wrong areas as well. All I'm saying is him coaching for his job provides more downside. It also provides, I think, a whole lot more upside. Think about if Michigan played more aggressive football with the talent they have. That's just reasons why I think that Michigan could indeed win this game. It's not saying they will or won't. Remember, I have not revealed my prediction yet. I haven't. But that's what we're going to do next. Next up, we are going to reveal my prediction. 38-34, Ohio State. Ohio State, listen, they are the better team all around. And if this game was in Columbus, I would probably give them a double-digit favorite, like, say, win by 10 to 21 points. This game's in Ann Arbor. Michigan is going to be playing their best. Ohio State will probably be playing their best as well. But I imagine because of the way home field advantage and other things work, it'll come down to the wire. But Ohio State is the better team. And listen, this is Michigan's year. It just is. But I don't have faith in Jim Harbaugh yet. I'm not going to predict Michigan wins until the clock hits 0 and they've won, because we haven't beaten Ohio State in a matchup that matters since 1997. We just haven't. It's plain and simple, and it's the truth, and I deliver nothing but the truth. It's just facts, and I hate to say it because I love Michigan and I love my team. And listen, I think this Michigan team's great, but realistically, I don't think Ohio State's going to blow us out. I don't think Michigan will blow Ohio State out. I think the score range is Michigan wins by a touchdown or Ohio State wins by probably 3 touchdowns. It's probably the max range for either team. That's just my opinion, though. Tell me your score prediction in the comments below. And that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. Thank you all for watching. I can't wait to review and react to this game. I will see you guys around. Bye.